In a country where even the sky isn't free, 4 women had what everyone envied jobs as flight attendants for North Korea's national airline. But when they discovered the truth about the world outside their aircraft windows, they made a choice that could have killed their entire families. This is the story of how Air Koryo's most privileged employees became North Korea's most wanted fugitives. 25 million people remained trapped in that system. These 4 refused to be among them. If these stories matter to you, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Your support helps us bring these untold stories to light. Together we can be a voice for those who cannot speak. In North Korea, there's a job everyone envies: a flight attendant for Air Koryo. But in 2023, one woman assigned to the Pyongyang-Beijing route gave up that privilege and made a choice that could have cost her life. As surveillance tightened and co-workers started disappearing, she finally told herself, "I can't live like this anymore." So what did she see up there in the sky, and what did she do next? This video is a reconstructed story. If you're watching right now, leave a comment and tell us where you're tuning in from. I used to be an Air Koryo flight attendant. Born and raised in Pyongyang, the job felt like a blessing from the heavens. My parents' generation could only dream of riding a plane once. Meanwhile, I was flying almost every day. In early 2023, I became the lead flight attendant on the Beijing-Pyongyang route. There were 3 women I worked with closely. Son Young spoke great Chinese, so she handled many of the Chinese passengers. Hyejin had studied at Pyongyang's Music and Dance University, and she moved with that polished, graceful posture. And Kyung-hee, she was the most senior of us all, a mother of 2, yet somehow perfect at everything she did. Becoming a flight attendant in North Korea isn't something just anyone can do. You're expected to be from Pyongyang. Your family background has to be clean. Your songbun, your family's political classification, matters more than talent. Height requirements mattered too. At least 160 centimeters, about 5'3". And yes, looks mattered. Foreign languages were a given. I graduated from Pyongyang University of Foreign Studies, majoring in English. I also spoke some Russian. My family background helped too. My father was a party official. My mother was a doctor. After I became a flight attendant, our house looked different on holidays. While other families struggled to get basic rations, we received gifts: sugar, cooking oil, even meat. My mother used to say, "Moran, you're the pillar of this family. Your brother is in the military. You're the one keeping us alive." It felt like praise. It also felt heavy. The Beijing route was special. After landing, we often stayed in Beijing for a day or 2. That meant access to foreign currency shops, Chinese food, things you couldn't even see in Pyongyang: chocolate, cosmetics, decent clothes. And if you brought those items back and sold them in Pyongyang's underground markets, you could make more than a month's salary. The 4 of us grew close. On the plane, we wore perfect smiles. Back at the hotel, we finally exhaled. "Today, a Chinese passenger gave me chocolate," Kyung-hee would say. "I'm taking it home for my kids." "Honey, share one with me," Hyejin joked. "I'll give it to my mom." Back then, none of us understood how small our world really was. Even while flying, we were still caged, just a slightly bigger cage than everyone else. One day, after a flight, the plane circled over Pyongyang before landing. Outside the window, the city was dark. Barely any streetlights. Almost no glow at all. Strangely, that view looked sad. I didn't know why in that moment. But maybe that was the beginning. A quiet thought taking root. Something is wrong. Still, I told myself I was happy. Every morning, I put on my uniform, pinned my hair up, and applied red lipstick. In the mirror, I would think, I'm lucky. This is the best job in the Republic. But life had another path waiting for me. Beijing always felt unreal. The streets didn't look like Pyongyang. At night, everything stayed bright. People laughed freely. Stores overflowed with goods. At first, I shrugged it off. China is big. That's all. Then one day, in May 2023, in our hotel room, Sun Young leaned close and whispered, "Miran, I saw something last night." "On the internet!" My stomach tightened. "The internet is monitored," I warned. Are you trying to get us killed? She shook her head. A Chinese friend showed me a VPN. I found North Korea news from outside. It doesn't match what we were taught. I scanned the room like someone might be listening. Be careful, I told her. One wrong word and we're done. But her eyes didn't flinch. Aren't you curious? She asked. What the world is really like? That night, the four of us gathered in one room. Sun Young pulled out her phone, hands careful, like it was contraband. What we watched is hard to describe without sounding unbelievable. There was a South Korean drama, ordinary people living in big homes, refrigerators packed with food, families traveling overseas like it was normal. Hyejin's voice trembled. This has to be fake. Right? Then we watched something worse and more real. Videos of North Korean defectors giving testimony. People like us, speaking into a camera, openly criticizing Kim Jong-un, talking about the country's reality without whispering. One man said, "During the famine, out of my family of 5, 3 starved to death. Tears blurred my vision." Kyung-hee spoke softly, almost to herself. So we were lied to? No one answered. We just stared at each other, like the floor had shifted under our feet. Everything we had been taught since childhood felt like it was collapsing. We had worshipped the leaders as if they were beyond question, and now those truths looked like a wall built to trap us. The next day, on the flight back to Pyongyang, my face still wore a professional smile, but my mind was nowhere near that cabin. Service trays moved through my hands. My thoughts didn't, because once you understand your paradise is a prison, you can't unlearn it. Back home, my mother greeted me with warmth. "Miran, you're back. I made tofu stew." Normally, I would have been grateful. That day, my throat tightened instead. My mother had spent her whole life believing this system was the best one. She didn't know what happened to relatives separated during the Korean War. She didn't even have the language for doubt. I tried carefully. China looked really developed. My mother smiled. "Sure, but Pyongyang is still the best. And you're blessed, Miran. You became a flight attendant." Her innocence hurt to watch. From that point on, life split in two. On the outside, we smiled and worked. On the inside, questions kept pounding. Why are we not allowed to know the truth? Why do others live freely, but we can't? One day in the crew waiting room, Kyung-hee grabbed my hand. "Miran," she said, voice shaking. "My kids can't grow up like this. No truth, no freedom. I think I have to do something." Sun Young and Hyejin felt it too, and we still didn't understand what that awakening would cost us. But once a belief cracks, it doesn't return to what it was. When your eyes open, you can't force them shut again. After that, North Korea looked different. The slogans plastered on. Walls, great leader, glorious nation started to feel like lines from a script. Even the small act of pinning on my Kim Il-sung badge began to feel heavy. What frightened us most was this. We kept traveling to Beijing. People who see the outside world don't stay safe forever. Not in that system. By July 2023, the air shifted. The security apparatus, Bowibu, the Ministry of State. Security began focusing harder on flight crews. Surveillance tightened. Interviews increased. The feeling of being watched followed us everywhere. Then a co-worker named Sujin disappeared. "Where did she go?" I asked quietly. No one answered. Later, a rumor surfaced she had smuggled a USB filled with South Korean dramas from Beijing. She was caught, and her family was taken too. Kyung-hee's voice shook when she spoke. "We have to be careful." Sun Young stared at the floor. What if they already know what we watched? That's what made it unbearable. It wasn't just our lives on the line. It was our parents, our siblings, everyone tied to us. Around that time, my father started sighing at home. "The party is cracking down," he warned. "Miran, when you travel, be careful. Don't look at strange things. Don't talk to strange people." Had he noticed something in my face? My mother worried even more. "Your brother will be discharged soon," she said. "We have to marry him off. Don't cause trouble. Our family's record is clean. If you ruin it, we're finished." I could barely breathe. By autumn, it got worse. In Beijing, a new observer appeared, clearly a security agent. "Comrades," he told us, "report before you go out." Don't speak casually with Chinese people. Even in Beijing, we weren't free. Hyejin cried one night. I can't do this, she said. People back home can barely eat. We live like this and pretend it's fine. But one wrong word and our families die. We cried too. Then Kyung-hee said something that chilled the room. My younger sibling was taken to a political prison camp last year. Tried to meet a broker in China. Got caught. Political prison camp. That place isn't just prison. It's a life sentence. And in North Korea, punishment can spread across generations. 3 generations. Grandparents. Parents. Children. Silence swallowed the room. Then Sun-young finally asked, Can we keep living like this? No one answered. Because we couldn't. On the plane, high above the clouds, it hit me. Even a bird can be trapped inside a cage. We weren't flying. We were being carried. And the invisible rope around us was pulling tighter every day. In October 2023, another shock arrived. We heard the Beijing route was going to be reduced. Travel had dropped since COVID, and now flights would be cut sharply, which meant our window to the outside world was closing. Kyung-hee spoke quietly in the Beijing hotel. This might be our last chance. The 4 of us looked at each other. No one wanted to say it first, yet everyone was thinking it. Kyung-hee's eyes filled. I can't take my kids. I have a husband. But you're young. You still have a future. You should go. Sun-young grabbed her hand. Honey, you have to go too. Your kids can't grow up there forever. You saw what life looked like outside. I thought about my parents. A party official father. A doctor mother. If I defected, my family could be destroyed. A camp. My brother expelled from the military. Everything erased. My voice came out thin. I don't think I can. My parents. Hyejin looked at me and said, Honey, I'm scared too. My family is there. But if we stay, we live like this forever. Lying. Being watched. No freedom. She swallowed hard. Shouldn't we choose something we won't regret when we're older? That question landed like a blow. Maybe my parents had once faced a moment like this, and never had the chance to choose. Maybe we'd never see them again. Or maybe like the families separated by war, there could be a day to reunite. My hands shook as I spoke. Then let's go together. Alone felt impossible. Together still felt terrifying. But it felt possible. We held hands that night and made a promise. Life or death, we would move as one. Preparation had to be careful. In Beijing, Sun-young quietly asked Chinese contacts about a broker. We gathered money, sold anything we could. We were told each person needed around 20,000 yuan. Every time we returned to Pyongyang, it felt like my chest was tearing. My mother's food, my father's face, the old ginkgo tree near our home, the alley where I played as a child. I tried to memorize it all like I was saving it for later. One day, I visited my grandparents' grave. Kneeling there, I begged silently, Please forgive me. I'm about to become a disobedient granddaughter. But I want to live. I want to be free. If the country reunites one day, I'll come back. Kyung-hee secretly took photos of her children. I need this, she whispered. I'll survive by looking at these. One day they'll understand why I left. In early November 2023, we boarded what we believed would be our final Beijing flight. As the plane lifted from Pyongyang, I watched the Taedong River and the Juche Tower slide beneath us. Tears kept coming, but I forced myself not to turn back. We have to succeed, Sun-young said, and one day return without fear. In a reunified Korea. 4 women, 1 promise. When the plane entered Chinese airspace, something hardened inside me. When this Beijing stay ended, I would not return. Air Koryo flight attendant Kim Miran would vanish from Pyongyang's skies. And, for the first time, I would try to become a bird without a cage. November 15, 2023. A date burned into me. We landed at Beijing Airport, smiling the way we always did. Inside, my heart pounded so hard it felt visible. We checked into the hotel and attended the evening roll call. The security agent spoke calmly. Tomorrow at 1000 a.m. We depart for the airport. Until then, remain in your rooms. No going out. Yes, we replied. Obedient faces. Hidden plans. At 900 We started packing in our separate rooms. There was almost nothing to pack. Our passports were held by the security agent. Cash was limited. We had the clothes we wore and a small bag. At 1,000, we met in the hallway. Kyung-hee pulled me into a tight hug, hands trembling. "Moran, you scared?" "I'm terrified," I whispered. "But I can't go back." Sun-young and Hyejin held hands behind us. We couldn't use the front entrance. The agent was stationed there, so we aimed for the back door. Down the stairs we went, step by careful step. 1 floor, 2 floors. My heartbeat felt louder than my footsteps. Near the first floor, we heard movement. "Who's there?" a voice called. "A hotel cleaner." We froze. This is it, I thought. We're finished. But she muttered something in Chinese and walked on. She sounded ethnic Korean Joseonjok, maybe. Maybe she understood. Maybe she didn't. Either way, she didn't stop us. We pushed open the back door and stepped outside. Beijing's cold November air slapped my face. The cold hurt, and it helped. It kept me awake. The meeting spot was about 300 meters away, down an alley. A broker would be waiting. We walked fast, but didn't run. Running would draw eyes. "There," Sun-young whispered. A black van sat parked. A Chinese man inside waved us over. We climbed in. The door shut. The van rolled forward. "Do you have passports?" the broker asked in Chinese. "We don't," Sun-young answered. "The security agent has them." "And money?" "We have it. 100,000 yuan together." He nodded. "Enough. From now on, do not speak North Korean dialect. You must pass as ethnic Koreans from China." The van sped toward Beijing's outskirts. Neon lights blurred past the windows. A city full of people living like the world belonged to them. We were heading toward that world, or trying to. Around 200, eh? We arrived at a small house. "You'll hide here for a few days," the broker said. "North Korea will search for you." "What happens if they find us?" someone asked. "Chinese police hand you over," he replied. "Then you're sent back." No one asked what sent back meant. We already knew. In that cramped room, the 4 of us sat shoulder to shoulder. Sleep didn't come. Kyung-hee cried quietly. "Kids, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm selfish." "You're not," I told her. "You have a right to live." Sun-young looked out through a narrow crack in the window. "Stars," she whispered. "Same stars as Pyongyang. Same sky. Why do people live so differently under it?" No answer existed. That night, really, that early morning, we prayed to our ancestors. "Protect us. Let us live. Let us reach freedom. And if reunification ever comes, let us go home again." 4 Air Koryo flight attendants on the run. That's how it began. Life in that small house was its own kind of hell. No opening windows. No stepping outside. All day in one room. By the second day, the broker burst in with urgency. "North Korean security is moving," he warned. "They're searching ethnic Korean neighborhoods in Beijing. This place is risky." "So what do we do?" we asked, fear rising. "Tonight, you move to Tianjin." From that night on, we became shadows. Beijing to Tianjin. Tianjin to Qingdao. Every few days, another safe house. Always moving at night. Sometimes we had to lie flat on a car's floor like cargo. In a basement in Qingdao, an ethnic Korean man brought food. "Girls," he said softly, eyes wet. "You're suffering so much. Same blood, and you still have to hide like this." Kyung-hee bowed her head. "Thank you. We won't forget." He waved it away. "Forget thanks. We're one people. My grandfather fled from the north during the war. Someone helped him live. I'm repaying that debt." His words tightened my throat. A nation split by war, yet people still reached across the divide. But danger stayed close. One day, Chinese police searched near the safe house. We squeezed into a closet, barely breathing. Hyejin's throat tickled with a cough. She pressed her fist to her mouth and held it down, shaking. One sound would have ended everything. At night, Hyejin broke. "I can't do this," she sobbed. "Maybe I should turn myself in." Sun-young grabbed her. "No. If you do, we die. Just hold on." Kyung-hee pulled out a phone and showed photos. Defectors in South Korea, smiling, living openly. "Look," she said. "We can reach that. Just a little longer." On the 10th day, the broker returned with news. I made contact with the South Korean embassy, he said. In 2 days, you can try to get in. Our knees almost gave out. But the hardest part remained reaching the embassy in Beijing. Beijing was crowded with cameras, police, and eyes. The broker warned us. The area is watched. North Korean agents monitor it too. Then how do we get inside? We asked. Not the main gate, he said. A side entrance. You move fast only when the timing opens. On the 14th night, we returned to Beijing. Back to the city we had escaped. It felt like fate mocking us. That last night in the safe house, no one slept. Tomorrow meant freedom or death. We held hands. Tomorrow, I said, we make it. We get to South Korea. We live. And someday we see our families again. Outside, Beijing's night sky spread wide. Somewhere under that same sky, my parents were still in Pyongyang. Same sky. Different worlds. But if we succeeded, we would step into a world where a cage wasn't the default. The first week of December 2023. Rain fell before dawn. Cold winter rain. At 800 a.m. the broker arrived. Ready? He asked. We need to reach the embassy area by 1000. There's a brief shift change in security. We changed clothes to look like middle-aged Chinese women. Plain outfits. Hats pulled low. Nothing that screamed flight attendant. In the mirror, I barely recognized us. No uniforms, no polished smiles, just 4 people running for their lives. The drive into the city felt endless. Every traffic stop felt like a trap. Then the broker pointed. That building, that's the South Korean embassy. Above the wall, I saw it. The Taguki, the South Korean flag. The moment it came into view, my eyes flooded. The broker warned us again. When you get out, do not run. Walk. Calm. Natural. Head to the side entrance. We nodded and gripped each other's hands. The car stopped. Go, the broker said. Good luck. We stepped into the rain. The embassy was maybe 50 meters away. It felt like 50 miles, one step at a time. Kyung-hee led. I followed. Sun-young and Hyejin stayed close behind. Then I saw them. 2 Chinese police officers walking toward us from across the street. Their eyes flicked over us. My heart stopped. Kyung-hee whispered, just keep walking. Normal. They came closer. 10 meters. 5. They passed us. They passed us. We kept breathing. The side entrance came into view. 20 meters. 10. 5. Now, Kyung-hee said. We ran. Hands linked, almost tripping, refusing to let go. A shout cracked behind us in Chinese. Stop! Footsteps! The police were chasing. Keep going, someone yelled. The door. The side door. If it opened, it was freedom. If it didn't, it was over. Kyung-hee hammered the door. Please, open! It opened. A South Korean staff member appeared. Quick inside! We stumbled through. The police reached the entrance, but they couldn't follow us in. This was South Korean territory. You're safe now, the staff member said. Our bodies collapsed. We cried like people who had been holding their breath for years. We did it, someone whispered. We did it. Warm tea was brought to us. You must be terrified, the staff member said gently. But you're okay. You're in South Korea now. We'll arrange your travel. Outside the window, the taeguki fluttered in the wind. Red and blue. A flag we had only been allowed to hate or fear. But it was ours, too. Are we really going? Hyejin asked, voice small. Yes, the staff member answered. In a few days, you'll arrive in Seoul. 4 Air Koryo flight attendants. We had flown for years without freedom. And now we had it without wings. January 15th, 2024. We landed at Incheon International Airport. When my feet touched the ground, my legs nearly gave out. So this is real, I thought. We made it. A staff member smiled and said, Welcome to the Republic of Korea. South Korea, a country with our language, our food, our history, yet a completely different life. For the first days, we stayed at Hanawon, a government resettlement center where defectors learn how to adjust. We met many others who had arrived the hard way. You were a flight attendant? One woman asked, stunned. That's incredible. I was just an ordinary citizen. I was ordinary too, I said. I just had a job that looked special. But it was still a prison. One of the biggest shocks was a convenience store. Open 24 hours. All night. You could buy food whenever you wanted. In North Korea, that idea belongs in science fiction. The supermarket shocked us even more. Meat, fruit, snacks, clothes. Everything stacked high. Endless options. Yejin stared and asked, "Is all of this real?" "It's real," Kyung-hee said. "This is a free country." Adjusting wasn't easy. Even the way people spoke felt unfamiliar. Words we used every day didn't land the same here. The tone was different. The rhythm. Food tasted different, too. North Korean food is blander. South Korean food can be sweet, spicy, intense. Still, one truth kept repeating in my mind. We were the same people. 70 years divided, but still one bloodline. Now, each of us is building a new life. I'm preparing to apply to a South Korean airline. I want to fly again, this time freely. Sun-young is studying at a university. Hyejin found a job at a company. Kyung-hee, she cries often for the children she left behind. But she keeps moving forward. We still meet. At least once a week, we share a meal and talk. It feels like we made a miracle, someone says. We only made it because we moved together, another replies. Sometimes we search North Korean news online. How are our parents? What's happening back home? If reunification ever comes, I want to go back and bring my family. I want to kneel and say, "Please forgive me. I wasn't trying to abandon you. I was trying to live." One day, Kyung-hee asked me, "Miran, was it right? Leaving our parents behind, was that a sin?" I held her hand. "We have the right to live," I said. "Everyone does. And if reunification comes, maybe we can be a bridge. We know both worlds. That's who we are now. People who lived the North and learned freedom in the South. Maybe one day we'll help others cross that distance without fear." Tonight, I look up at the sky again. When a plane passes through the clouds, the old memories return. Back then, I flew, but I wasn't free. Now I stand on the ground. And for the first time in my life, I am. Freedom isn't free. Some people pay for it with everything. So please, don't treat it like nothing. And don't forget the 25 million people still in the North. They are people like us. They dream of freedom, too.